Street Fighter. Whoa!
Trust me, you would not have wanted to watch that pilot anyway.
Well, someone's feeling confident. Chimptopia is the latest indie animated pilot to cause a bit of a stir online. Now, I've always been against dogging on indie pilots even if they turn out bad. They're independent productions and nobody is perfect. Most of the time, indie pilots are just a way for a creator to pitch their show to you really quickly. A lack of refinement is expected. But seeing as how Chimptopia took to beating down on Gameoverse just to prop itself up, I think I can get away with being a bit mean here. Chimptopia is the brainchild of Robert Pagliaro. He's most well known for creating artwork for Nick Fuentes and Jack's Toy. I'm just gonna cut right to the chase here. You, yes you, pay attention, this will be on the test. If you're an up-and-coming independent artist and you're looking to one day create your own animated pilot and potentially kickstart your own animated series, let Chimptopia be a guidebook on what not to do. To be blunt, the main reason that everyone got riled up in the first place was the teaser that was posted a couple of days ago, which then got signal boosted by Toonhive and a couple more cartoon accounts on Twitter. Because the best term I can use to describe this teaser is, brain damage. Might sound a bit mean, I know, but frankly I think it takes a miraculous amount of brain damage to write, record, and animate this entire thing without once thinking about the ramifications of your decisions. The main thing that got everyone big mad about this teaser was that it threw a pretty large swing towards Gameoverse for some reason. Gameoverse is the most recent pilot to come from Glitch Productions, created by Ross O'Donovan, or Rubber Ross as many of you will likely know him as. Gameoverse was being developed for over a decade and is a clear-cut passion project that Ross has clearly sunk a considerable amount of time, care, and love into. And to see that kind of work finally pay off is a feel-good story I'm sure all of us can appreciate. I personally couldn't get into Gameoverse, it's not really my thing and I don't have much to say about it, which is why you didn't see a video on it, among other things. But I'm really happy to see Gameoverse succeed, and it's not hard to respect the time, effort, and dedication it took for over 10 years to finally turn this crazy dream into a real thing. Chimptopia's response to this was to base their entire teaser trailer, the first impression, the most important stepping stone towards pitching your show to people, on completely lambasting Gameoverse. And to say this instantly rubbed people the wrong way is putting it lightly.
And I'll say video game characters with my friends.
Oh, brother.
I'm gonna learn
another one of these.
There are several things wrong with the execution here. Many did point out that cartoons taking swings at other cartoons is not a new thing. Shows like Mad, Robot Chicken, and The Simpsons instantly come to mind. But what makes Chimptopia particularly unlikable is that this is a brand new independent series that's yet to prove itself, and the first impression we get of it is the show deciding to target an actually successful indie production in what feels like an incredibly spiteful and jealous manner. When you see something like Mad, Robot Chicken, and The Simpsons take jabs at something, you can usually tell there's at least a fundamental level of respect there, and it's usually just playful ribbing and parody. This is a brand new show, and the first thing it does to try and sell you on it is putting down the work of another indie creator without even telling you what their show is about first. The depiction of the character Gobbles here also comes off as very mean-spirited and bitter, and following it up with these bland, smug character designs, taking him behind a tree and beating the shit out of him, then turning to the audience and saying, hey, you wouldn't have wanted to watch that pilot anyway, is about as direct as you can get when being incredibly spiteful towards a specific indie show. It's incredibly poor taste. Not to mention, this teaser is not some original joke they came up with. It's almost one-to-one with an iconic Screwy Squirrel cartoon that was just Tex Avery playing in Disney's face for about 60 seconds. But the reason it works there was because it wasn't going after anything specific. They drew an original cutesy character to represent what they wanted to mock about Disney, acting as the perfect contrast to the edgier and more zany nature of Tex Avery's cartoons. Sure, it was criticism, but it was a playful and lighthearted jab. The character was also drawn in a style reminiscent of Disney, and they were animated quite lovingly as well, showing that despite Avery being completely opposed to Disney's cutesy and sanitized approach, he still respected the artistry of Disney. Chimptopia completely misses the point of this joke and uses it as a springboard to single out another independent creator's project, all the while having absolutely nothing to show for itself to even justify taking a swing like this. So, safe to say, this wasn't a very good first impression. It made a lot of people mad, and it also made a lot of people point and laugh at the audacity of it. I do think indie creators deserve some kind of leeway and a chance to grow when their first impression isn't great, but openly attacking another indie creator's project in such a mean-spirited way was guaranteed to put Chimptopia on everyone's shit list. And this is without even getting into the Kickstarter for the show. If the teaser trailer itself wasn't bad enough, the Kickstarter only made things worse by basically confirming that Chimptopia has absolutely no idea what it's doing. For something that tried dog-walking Gameoverse for being filled with game references and being uninspired, I find it incredibly funny that Chimptopia wants to be an adult animated sitcom about three friends trying to make ends meet, and that the show also looks like this.
Oh, brother!
Like what, did your show get rejected by Fox or something? What exactly is so irreverent or original about this that you thought it would be fine to take shots at Gameoverse of all things? We blend the relatability of Seinfeld, the crudeness of South Park, and the wackiness of Smiling Friends into our show to create something unique in the indie animated space.
I don't much like the tone of your voice.
Yeah, fuck you, Gameoverse, you unoriginal little chud. Behold, as we pitch our show by directly comparing it to the works of people infinitely more talented than us, as opposed to, you know, actually giving you reasons to care. This description has absolutely rancid vibes. I can't remember the last thing that said it was inspired by South Park that actually captured what makes South Park good. I'd say to be careful when throwing stones in your glass house, but that would imply there was a house to begin with. Fundamentally, there are so many issues to be found in this Kickstarter. The show wants to be distinct, yet the premise is so overdone you'd mistake this for a cancelled Fox show. It wants to be episodic because there's apparently a big lack of indie shows with an episodic format, completely ignoring the many indie shows out there with an episodic format. All of the character designs are uninspired and completely fail to reflect their descriptions. Robbie is meant to be a joyous optimist, so let's give him a constant resting bitch face and have him be a cynical, edgy loser in the teaser as he commands his two chudlings to beat up a character from another indie show. Now this is character design! Yeehaw! Oh, and also the landlord character is named Chimp. He's the character the show is named after, and he is depicted as a Hispanic man with monkey-like features and eating a banana. Oh, that's, You gotta change that design. I mean, hell, change every design while you're at it. The key art alone looks like it wants to call me a slur. And holy shit, can we talk about the stretch goals? Because this is outrageous. $500,000 for 4 episodes of this quality. $100,000 for character figurines after episode 2. $200,000 for a musical sequence in episode 3, which is listed after the $150,000 needed for episode 3 in the first place, which seems a bit backwards, honestly. You're asking people for this much money when the best you can offer them is we have Family Guy at home. Now, naturally, after deciding to make this many enemies just for the fuck of it, while also having a very underwhelming Kickstarter, Chimptopia has kind of become public enemy number 1. And there's a part of me that wants to be sympathetic, but I kinda can't, because while I'm convinced this project was born out of stupidity and maybe a bit of jealousy, I don't get the impression the creator was built to handle the kind of backlash something like this would get. It all seems like an extremely stupid barrage of mistakes from someone way in over their head. At least that's what I did think until people decided to do some digging on this guy's publicly listed portfolio and found that he had designed artwork to be placed on merchandise for Nick fucking Fuentes, which makes the depiction of Chimp over here a bit less of a surprise. Now, obviously, people got mad at this, and soon after it seems Robert panicked and removed it from his portfolio. So now all the Nick Fuentes fans are mad at him too. It really does come off as stupidity rather than anything else. He hasn't seemed to have thought any of this through, made especially evident given he quickly pumped out an apology video that depicted himself being lynched and whipped by what the fuck? Do people just not get PR training anymore? Or better yet, do people just not have common fucking sense? I don't believe that Robert Pagliaro is a malicious person or anything, but saying this as respectfully as I can, he is as dumb as a bag of rocks. Choosing not to respond to criticism seriously and instead depicting yourself being lynched and whipped does not give the impression that you're taking this seriously or that you're sorry at all, and certainly does not do much to quell the people who have naturally assumed that you might be racist. Like, buddy, read the room?
My intention was not to try and put down another person's project, but rather make a lighthearted joke to stir up conversation about ours. Fuck!
A few things are wrong with this. Given Robert's track record of genius decision-making, I'm inclined to believe him when he says he wanted a friendly rivalry between him and Gameoverse and wasn't trying to flat-out attack the show. I can believe that. Unfortunately, you still attacked the show. Quite blatantly. Like, you turned to the camera and started talking shit. Not to mention, you were not in a position to start friendly rivalries with other independent artists who are just trying to get their work seen. You have given us nothing to be excited about, nothing to anticipate. You are not on an equal playing field here. It just comes off as you being a dickhead and oddly parasocial, especially because we know you and Ross don't know each other. Here's you in 2021 trying to get your artwork noticed by Ross so you could join a Gartic phone session with him. That kinda makes this Gameoverse jab a little embarrassing in retrospect, honestly. He doesn't know you. Chimptopia is to Gameoverse what the faithful sheriff is to the burnt peanut. Oh yeah, and before anyone says anything, I don't like the burnt peanut either. Chimptopia is the faithful sheriff of indie cartoons. That's the best way I can put it. I would also mention that one clip people are passing around around from Robert's portfolio of a completely nothing ChatGPT joke, but he's clarified this wasn't an actual scene from the show, so I don't really see the point. All in all though, Christ what a shit show. I've never seen an indie pilot pretty much wither and die just from its teaser trailer, and even though I don't think the creator had malicious intentions, I certainly think he's a fucking idiot, and I think the backlash is fairly justified, especially the explanation he gave for the Nick Fuentes merch. Like, I'm sorry bro, but no one believes this. Not even fans of Nick Fuentes are gonna believe that. I do think he's sorry, given he's currently spamming explanations for his actions in people's replies, but this entire situation is gonna have to serve as the learning experience of a lifetime. You can't just pop out of nowhere and start throwing hands with other independent artists without thinking things through, especially when you have very little to show for it. If you're an independent artist, look at Chimptopia and take notes on what not to do. I honestly find the show's existence to be valuable as a learning tool for how not to embarrass yourself and ensure that your show is dead on arrival. Anyway, that's all I got time for today. Apologies for kinda disappearing for nearly 2 months. I have been incredibly busy. Also, yes, that Kiwami free video is still happening. I'm sorry it's taken this long.